Alright, we're back for another video here. Continuing our journey, or my journey, on learning C++ code language. To kind of recap on this real quick, in order to write most of any languages and stuff, you're going to need a text editor, also known as an IDE, or Integrated Development Environment. I've got two of them here. I will show you what they look like real quick. Let me adjust this real quick. Okay, these are two of them right here. The one on the left is this one right here, is called VS Code, or Virtual Studios Code. The one on the right is Notepad. Notepad is pre-installed on most operating systems. It may not be called Notepad. It may be called something else. I think on Mac it's called Text Edit, but yes, there is a pre-installed one on most operating systems. I currently don't use Notepad for what I do because I don't know how to get it to work properly for the language that I'm learning currently, but I'm sure there's a way. VS Code is a little simpler to use than what Notepad is. There are others besides just these two out there. Examples, we open up AI here real quick. We get the definition of IDE again, Integrated Development Environment. These can include any kind of code editor. Let's see here. Looking to see if I thought I had it up here. Maybe I don't have it up here anymore. Okay, so let's simply just ask the question. Oh, by the way, in my videos and stuff, I don't do edits. So any mistakes that I make and stuff, you see them, maybe learn from them, improve from them, whatnot. It's the best way I go about learning and stuff is by making mistakes anyway. So, what IDEs are out there? Just real quick. So it brings it up here. We have VS Code. Like I said, that's what I use. And it actually does specifically say the one I use is not quite an IDE. It's only that after you add extensions to it. But you got Visual Studios, CLion, Xcode, etc. There's more. Code blocks, C plus or Dev, C++. So there's just some kind of examples right there. Why do you need these? Because, well, when giving instructions from human to human, you normally can just say it. Depending on how long the instructions are and stuff, you may have to write down the instructions so they have kind of a guideline of what to follow for the instructions. So pen and paper. Well, computers don't possess pen and paper, so you have to have something to write in, which is known as the text editor. So that's kind of the gist of a text editor. Now, to write most languages and stuff, there are some languages that are pre-programmed into computers, HTML, CSS, whatnot, but others and stuff you may have to download, like C++ or C or C Sharp. There's more than just that involved in it, but that's kind of the recap of it right there. If you have any questions about those, just leave comments, ask the questions. If you want to suggest any and stuff, you can throw those in there in the comments as well. Moving on to what we were at. This is where we left off in our last video right here. C++ output, print text, my journey in learning C++. The cout object together with the output operator. This being the cout right here. This being the operator right here. is used to output values and print text. Sorry. Gonna just keep kind of reading through this. Just a reminder, the surrounding, just to remember to surround the text with double quotes. Okay, so there's something else we should learn right there. If we want anything to print up as far as the text is concerned and stuff, then we have to have it in either single or double quotes. I tend to use double quotes most of the time. In HTML, it doesn't really matter so much. It has rules for it. C++ is a little more strict on those rules. Uh, Most text and stuff, when you want to output any kind of text and stuff, has to have double quotes. And the reason is because single quotes actually does something else with the other text. So, um, keep reading on here. You can add as many cout objects as you want. However, note that it does not insert new line at the end of it. Okay, so there's kind of another thing right there, but we haven't really gotten to outputting anything yet. I'm not sure if this will actually tell us how to output stuff, so I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate that now. I'm going to go ahead and shrink this down a little bit here. So we got the text editor VS Code on the left side and stuff. And w3schools on the right side here. The extensions it was talking about with VS Codes right here on the left side and stuff, you can see it's got the file explorer right there where we can see the files, the folders, etc. The top one right there being the folder, this one right here being the file. Files always end up with dot something to indicate what the file is. If it's HTML, then it's going to have .html. If it's C++, then it's going to have CPP. If it's Python, I think it's going to be .py. Search for things right there. I'm not sure exactly what the searches are for. I haven't really dealt with that too much. I'm not even sure what this right here is for because I don't use it. I don't use Git. This right here is the debugger / runner for C++. I know a little bit about this, but not everything about that yet. This is the important part right here for VS Code and stuff, the extensions that you have. Now, I already have a few of them downloaded. It looks like I got 13 of them installed on here and stuff, and they do come with automatic updates, but let's see here. So for this one right here, first off, C and C++, it looks like this was created by Microsoft. It has almost 100 million downloads to it. That's what that number indicates right there. The rating for it out of 600, it looks like. It comes with C++, IntelliSense debugging, and code browsing. It does automatically update this extension, not C++. There is a difference. So this is not C++, the download itself. This is an extension for VS Code to read C++, I believe. It kind of gives details down here below, features and all that sort of stuff. So there is quite a few steps you have to take and things you have to do in order to be able just to write C++. Just having the editor up by itself will not do it. So if I just had VS Code right here by itself without having any extensions, this would not be possible. I could write it, but it may not work the way I would want it to work. So yes, 13 extensions. I got the dev tools right there, the extension pack right there, the themes right there and stuff to where I could change the colors and whatnot. I don't know what all it does. I haven't read into it and I don't remember it very well. I did read into it when I first got it, but I don't remember all of it. CMake tools, and it keeps going. Code Runner, Hex Editor, Highlight, Live Server, Pylance, because I do have Python on here as well. These are the extensions for Python. These are not the installation for Python. Like I said, I think Python is already something else that's pre-installed, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Anyways, let's get back into this right here. So this has not told us how to run any code yet or do anything but just type it out. And it hasn't even taught us how to type it out. It's kind of just given us instructions on what each one of these lines are. I'm going to go ahead and, because I got that little circle up there, I'm going to change that to an X and stuff to show that I've already saved it once. With VS Code, now other editors are going to be different than VS Code is, and I have not explored all of them yet. I've only actually explored a couple of them. But with VS Code, we have three different options right here. This is what you're going to do to see the output of our program right here. And yes, this is considered a program because we wrote it and it's going to do something. It's not going to do a lot, but it's going to do something. We can simply, and we could try all three of these. Debug. At this point in time, I'm going to have to choose a compiler. Do I want, and there's not much of a difference between these two. There's gcc.exe and there's g++.exe. From my research and studies that I have found and stuff, G++ seems to work the best with Windows and VS Code. Will it work the same with the other ones? I don't know. Again, this is my journey, and I have not fully understood all this yet. The better person to ask that I know of would probably be the channel, which is one of my sources for my education. But I normally pick G++. Okay, now it's running through it and debugging it and everything like that to create what is known as an exe file right here. Um, this right here allows us to actually open it up in another window. Will you actually see it? No, but it's a totally different story right there in itself. But it's debugged it, it's went through it, it's checked it all, and it's able to read it, and you can do something with it now. So we're going to clear this console right here. We still have, even though we cleared that, we still have the file right there. So this is the file, this is the application. The difference, I don't know. Still learning this stuff myself. Just trying to give you a place to start and how to go about doing this stuff is all I'm trying to do. Inspire people to do things. Okay, so we did this one right here, which is the same thing as simply clicking on this and clicking that button right there. They do the same thing. So what does run code mean? Okay, well, we run code and stuff and it pulls it up and it runs it and it puts it into the terminal right here. This terminal is kind of the same thing, I think, as your command prompt. So we get hello world right there. Now it has to go through first my local drive, my C++ folder, my C++ file, find the file itself, the exe file, to run it and stuff, and here's what it prints out, and it starts off with another one and stuff for the next time you want to do it. Can we do this directly from here? I believe so. I think it's ./app.exe. Oops. I think it does the same. No, it doesn't. Okay, so I'll have to look into that. So again, it's why I'm not really editing these videos and stuff so you can see the mistakes that I make. So I am still learning all this stuff. I do not know it all yet, but I do know we can click on this run button. It'll run the program and it prints up the hello world, the text we have here. Does it include the quotes? Nope, because it just knows that hello world is just a string or just the text. Inside the quotes is what we want to print, and so it's not including the quotes itself. Can we write multiple lines? Yes, we can. So we can add another one right here. Save it again. You have to save it in order for it to run. If you don't save it and stuff, it still runs the same code as what was saved prior to that. So this right here, we run it. Now we get both of them. Guess what? Hello world and my name is both combined on the same line. We haven't gotten to anything else other than this right here. So yes, it's combined on the same line. Okay. If we add more to this right here, again, we have to finish off every statement with a semicolon right there. We don't save it yet. We run it. Guess what? We get the same result as what we did before because we haven't saved this into it yet. So this is not actually part of the file until we save it. So save it, run it, and now add that to it too. Now, when I click on that little trash can thing, all I'm doing right there is clearing out the terminal. I'm not actually getting rid of the file. I'm just clearing out the terminal and stuff so it empties out the terminal right there. Now, here is something else that I know about. I don't think this is actually explained in W3schools either. I'm not sure. Why do we need 3 different lines? I mean, all 3 of these lines are pretty much exactly the same except for the text is different. So why do we need 3 different lines? We don't, honestly. We can clear all this out right here and simply add it to this one right here. Hello world. My name is such and such, and then goodbye. We can simply do that right there. Can we do it another way? Yes, we can do it another way too. So we have that right there. Again, I don't think this is taught in this, but yes, you can do it this way. It would look a little bit nicer if we did it another way. We got to get rid of this right here first. So this ends this statement right here, but if we want to continue on another line and stuff, we actually have to get rid of that first. So now we are adding more to it with this right here. My name is space. Add another one. Goodbye. I'm not putting capitalized stuff in there anymore right now. Just trying to do some quick stuff right here. So now we've added to it. We put it on another line. Does it make a difference? No. We can put this all on the same line. We can put this all together. We can, I mean, this is just manipulating the same thing in different ways. Is all it is. Save the code. Run it again. Guess what? We get the same result as what we did before. Now, here's a little thing that helps out. If you actually put this together like this, oops. There we go. Now you got the same 3 lines and stuff, but you just don't have the this right here part 3 times. You just have this right here. Will this work? Yeah, it will. I mean, it's still one statement. It's like no different than having it all in one line. You have it on 3 different lines. It's a lot easier to read. It comes out the same exact way. I don't think that's taught in W3schools. It's something that I kind of just picked up on. So yeah, we can keep going down and down and down, farther, farther, farther. The downside is and stuff, this is still ending up on one line right here. I can't really highlight that. This is all still ending up on one line. It's not separating. Even though we got it separated in here, the program, C++, the compiler, all the stuff that goes into making this even possible right here, does not see the extra space right here or here. It just puts it all together. It says, okay, we got hello world. Okay, then we got this one right here. So just put this next to this, and we got this one right here, put it next to this. It's same thing as trying to tell somebody that doesn't know anything, an alien, a baby. If they were to see this right here, they would just put them all together like it has it down here. Now, in our mind and stuff, we would like to see this on 3 different lines, but that's not the way we put it out here. We put it out here as one line. It just continues, continue, continue, continue. So it's going to continue, continue, continue until it runs out of space, and then it'll go down to the next line. And it may not even separate the words. You know, let's add some more to it. So, what is the weather today? And let's go ahead and get rid of that. Enter, add some more. We just keep going. Is it going to rain soon or stay sunny out? And yes, it keeps going to the right and stuff. We can keep going with this. The idea is once you, and here I'm just going to put a bunch of stuff in there, and then I will go to the end, finally end the statement right there, save it, and then run the code. And this time, it put it all in there, except for it went to another line. In fact, it stops on this line going to rain. So it stops at going to, right there, going to, and then it puts rain down here. Sometimes it won't even do that. Sometimes it'll separate the word. Sometimes. I've seen it do that before. Not all the time. If it can separate the word, I think it will, but you get kind of the idea of it. You can keep going with this. You don't have to put that consistently down through here. You can put it back to back to back, extend this out as far as you want. I mean, number of different ways to put this in here. Not something I don't think is explained in here very well. So let's go ahead and get rid of all this. Again, we're just kill terminal, clear the terminal out. Get rid of all that right there. In that right there. Save it. Move on to the next part. Okay, so they've got another line right here. I am learning C++. They got both two different statements right there. So they've added another statement right here. And yes, you can put a space in there and stuff. It may complain about it, but you can put a space in there. It's better if you don't, though. And what I mean by complaining about it and stuff is it may throw an error, but still do it anyways. So there's the other statement right there that it has in there. Save it again. And we got the other statement in there. You can add as many out objects as you want. However, note that it does not insert a new line at the end of the output, which is pretty much what we just went through. And we also just demonstrated how it can do this right here. Now, how it opens up a window and stuff and actually does it, because all we're doing is putting it into a terminal. It took me a while to figure out how to get the window to actually open up. I don't even remember how I figured it out finally, or if I was shown somewhere through one of my sources or whatnot, but let's move on to the next one. Output numbers, print numbers. We can do numbers too. So notice one thing about this here. Let's go and get rid of this right here. We will skip over that right there and just keep that in there. We'll put the number 4 in there. Go ahead and save it. Run it. We got the number 4 instead of text. Now, why is it the number 4 will work without the quotes, but the other one won't? Okay, so let's see if it tells us that. However, unlike text, we don't put numbers inside of double quotes. You can perform mathematical calculations. So we got 4 in there. How about plus 4 or plus 5? Sorry. Again, save it. Clean out the terminal there. You don't have to clean it out every time if you don't want to. And yes, it's doing a mathematical operation, adding 4 plus 5. We just wrote a program and stuff that pretty much adds 4 plus 5. You do multiplication the same way, subtraction the same way. Many different things, just simply with this right here to put it into the terminal. It's just stuff that I was learning and stuff when I went through this the first time. And once I wrote this code, I did start experimenting with it. I mean, this is simple stuff. No, it's not a game or anything like that. It's just a simple program and stuff. And you're pretty much just writing things right here, just like as you would with any other kind of thing, and printing it out to the terminal. So why is C++ different than the other languages? Well, as I said in another video and stuff, C++ allows you to maximize the performance of the program, especially if the program is massively large. You can take the program itself, store it into your hard drive, and pull out, I'm not going to say it that way. You can just maximize the performance. I'll just say it that way. And I'm not 100% sure on how that works yet. I've looked into it and I've read it and I've studied it a little bit. I understand a little bit of it. And what I mean by a little bit of it, just like that much of it, when I know it's actually like very large. Yeah. So the next thing, new lines. Okay, so we had a huge line of text right here and stuff and kind of wrapped around to the next line eventually, finally, after we put another thing there. What if we wanted to go ahead and put multiple lines in there? Well, let's see here. New lines. To insert a new line in your output, you just add, you can use /n character. So let's read it again. To insert a new line in your output, you can use the slash. I'm not sure if that's a backslash or forward slash, but slash character, slash in character. And it kind of gives us a demonstration. So let's go ahead and we'll keep that right there. We'll do as it says right here, except for the thing is will this work? So if we put the slash in there like it says, we're getting an error right here. So it's not really telling us how to do this properly. It's showing us with a line of text. It's not showing us with numbers and mathematical stuff. So we will put the line of text back in there. This sort of stuff, learning this sort of stuff right here, some of it wasn't really apparent as what I'm making it. I'm going to put the 4, yeah, the 4 or 5, whatever, plus whatever. Just a couple numbers in there, and then in that right there. And then go and save it. So we can't add this right here to the end of this, but we can add it to this right here. And notice how it's on the inside of the quotes, not on the outside of the quotes. So we're just kind of following what this is saying right here and stuff. But what if we want to do that with this right here? These are kind of questions that I kept having. So I kept going through the information that this was giving out and stuff to see if it would finally get to it and stuff. And I went through a lot of it. I think I went clear down to polymorphism right here, which I don't even know what that is yet. Inheritance, I kind of know what that is. Actually, I think I went down to date. I think I did go through polymorphism. Maybe I just didn't understand it. I don't know. But so if we've already saved this and stuff, now if we were to run it and stuff, now our code actually does end up on 2 different lines. Hello world is on one line, 10, or the mathematical equation right there is expression, whatever, it's on a separate line. But we still haven't figured out how to get this to, if we were to go ahead and add another one here and here, I won't even do it that way. I'll just add another line here. We don't, like I said, we don't always need the std out, cout in there. Put goodbye in there. And then end it. Well, you can even go ahead and put the new line in here. And yeah, it can be right up against the text. It doesn't have to be spaced out from the text. It can be right up against it. Now, the thing about this is right here is it's giving us an error right here. Why is it giving us an error? Well, because this is right here in the end of one statement. So, and we don't have this right here. So we can either add the std : cout, or we can remove this one right here. And that allows it to be opened up. So we go ahead and save that like that. Clear the terminal out again. Run this again. And now we got 10 goodbye. So I'm lost here. How do we get this right here to become a new line? It took a while for me to figure that one out, honestly. I will get to that here in just a minute. Something that I haven't gone through yet is this one right here. Run C file, because we've dealt with both of these right here, debugging, and we're not even sure fully what debugging is yet, because at this point in time we've only played with it. So let's play with this and see what this does. It doesn't look like it does anything. Okay, so if we click on, and we have like options here, so we get rid of that. We got 2 different ones here, so we're just kind of making a mess down here. We don't even really know what we're doing right now. So let's go ahead and just clear all this out right here, because like I said, we're just playing with it. So this right here does some strange stuff, but it doesn't give us anything down here at all. Ah, there it is finally. Yeah, I guess it does give us the same thing. So whether we run it or not and stuff, I guess this one just takes a little bit longer. So for now and stuff, since we're just dealing with the basics and stuff, we just go ahead and run the file or run the code, because this is the code it's running right now. Run the file must be something different. Well, I mean, because we're gonna have to explore that. This is part of VS Code. This is not part of C++. This is part of VS Code and stuff, and we're just gonna have to play with this and figure out where this is different stuff. Not something I understood right off the bat. So for the longest time ever, I was just using this until it didn't work no more. And eventually it will stop working because of the fact of what we're going to end up adding to this down the road. But right now, our biggest concern is we got hello world, we got 10, and we got goodbye, and we can't separate 10 and goodbye for some reason. Something else that I just want to add to this. So the code does ignore the spacing. It ignores all this spacing right here. Anything in between the code it ignores. It's not going to ignore this space right here though. Notice that when we print this out, oops, why did it do that? There we go. Notice that it still has that space in there as well as right here. So what if we added a space somewhere else to separate goodbye and 10? Well, we can't really add it to here because we don't have any way we can do this, but it's not gonna take it. Go ahead and save it like that and run it. Nope, it still comes up the same way. So instead of adding the space to this, what about adding the space to the front of this? So here we will go and just put a space right there. Will that work? And in this case, yes, it does. It's right there. There's the space right there. So things that I've learned playing around with it, things that I've learned, and there are some things I have not played around with that I won't do yet and stuff because I don't want to mess up the hardware. But this sort of stuff right here, just transforming the file in different ways with the code inside the file, I can do. The hardware stuff that I haven't gotten to yet, that is way down the road, like next week down the road, sort of thing. Um, so yes, we know how to write multiple lines of text. We know how to put numbers in there. We know how to separate things just by putting spaces in there because it does accept this as a space right here since inside the quotes. Outside the quotes, no. So we tried to add space right there and stuff and it didn't work. We have figured out and stuff that we don't actually need this right here in there. But this is counted as one statement. This is counted as another statement because that's the end of that statement. So in order to make this all one statement, now we got to remove that right there. And that all now becomes one statement. You know, and we could also take this and add this to the back of this and add this back and keep going and going and going, or we can separate into different lines. Save it again, run it again, and we still get the same output. We don't get 3 different lines, we get 2 different lines because this right here we've broken up to this right here is going to go to the next line after it prints this text. This one right here will too. You don't see that next line right here though. And you don't see a separation between the 10, the equation right here, and the next line. So we are still exploring all the different sides. Kind of think of this as you have a piece of paper or a box in front of you and stuff. When you look at one side of the box, you see what's on that side. You can't see what's on the back side or what's on the sides of the box to the bottom or the top. You can't see any of that stuff. You can only see what's in front of you. So in the sense of writing text or doing math or, I mean, any way you want to do this, we are only seeing right now 2 sides of this. The fact that we can write text and put a new line in. We can write a math problem and stuff, but we can't add a new line to there yet, so we can't see that side of the box yet. But we can add a new line right here and then put some separation in there. So we've kind of sneaked around and looked around at it and stuff, but I mean, right now, this is pretty much as far as it goes. And this is all so far, I mean, what this explained it, but it didn't even explain everything of what I've just shown you. Like how to get it to print up in the terminal, what your code's going to look like, or how to get a window open. Let's finish this up and then we'll finish up the video for this time and stuff. We'll make another video here. So new lines. So far in, new lines, you can use another plus plus or output operator to place the in. Okay, so it says that we can add this right here. So if we have this right here, just following the example and stuff, let's take this out. Let's go past the quotes, add a space, add another output operator, and then another set of double quotes, and slash in. And now they're ending it right there and putting that, but we're just gonna make it simple. I'm not gonna put all that stuff in here. So we've added this right here. We've taken this and putting this in its own set of quotes instead of having it inside this set of quotes. What does this do now? Run it. Okay, we got the same result. What if we were to take this right here and put this at the end of this? Well, we would have to add this to it too. So, I mean, because we can't just have this right here by itself and put this at the end of that. But, I mean, let's play around with it. Let's see what happens here. So first thing we're going to do, I'm going to take this out. What does that do? Run code. Okay. So it does work that way. So we can take that line out. We don't actually have to have, actually, no, I didn't save it. Sorry. Let me save it real quick. I looked at the little circle up there and noticed I hadn't saved it. So let's try this again. Make sure it comes out the same way. Okay, yep, it does. So we got hello world, and then we got a new line. We got 10, we got goodbye. So what if we add this right here to each line? So let's take this right here and put it on each line. So we'll put one space in there, quotes, slash in. Take this out right here. Go to the outside of that space, slash in. Save it. And we got a problem here. It's showing us that this right here is a problem right here. Expected that right there. Well, why does it expect that right there? We don't have it right here and it's working. We run the code right here and we get a problem. So in this particular case, yes, you can do this way, have it a new line and stuff and bring it down to here next. When it comes to an equation like this, though, that doesn't have quotes, you have to add in the output operator. Now that'll work. We'll save it again. Now we got 3 different lines, except for there's kind of an indentation right here, but that's because we got the space right there. So let's take out the space, save it again, run it again. Okay, so now we got 3 different lines of code, 3 different lines down here in the terminal. How did I figure all this stuff out? Because obviously, like I said, it's not in here. It doesn't explain it in here. My 4 different sources of information and playing with it. So using this right here to learn this. This does not explain it. So I'm asking myself these questions and stuff just like I asked. How do we do this? How do we do that? How do we do this? I went to here, looked into this right here. It didn't quite explain it either, but it did. So I'm just kind of going through, trying to play with this, trying to figure it out and stuff and understand it. I looked through this right here. This right here is just so freaking complicated and it's like a freaking nightmare maze. I was like, okay, no, this is not going to help me out right now. So then I went to him. And guess what? Watching quite a few of his videos and stuff, I figured out to do this. So using multiple sources, kind of like when I say multiple sources, I'm kind of like saying that I have like 3 or 4 different math teachers sitting there teaching me how to do this, or uh, teachers that have already studied this and understood this and figured it out and been taught themselves and stuff. Yes, I have 3 or 4 different teachers teaching me this stuff. Okay, the standard out part, I think I just kind of figured that one out on my own just by playing with it. But yes, we have 3 different lines. We have text right there. We don't have this right here part in here, but that's because this right here actually stands alone. So once you do this part right here, then yes, you're going to need another input operator to put that, but we don't need it in there for the additional lines. But in this case, at the same time, we can simply, again, just take that out right there, make it shorter, easier to read, and simplified it. Okay, the simplification of that and stuff is actually less work for your computer, the compiler, the program. Less work. Less work means it performs better. Now, what if we want to do more of these right here? So if let's see if we want to add to it. Put multiply, when that symbol does indicate multiply 2 in another space, because we do actually have to have a space. If we did this right here, like I said, you get this little, actually it doesn't. So we're still kind of playing around with this and stuff. What if we just did that right there? What would happen if we ran that? Guess what? We get the same result. Okay, so we don't even have to have the space right there. So we can go ahead and take the space out of that right there, take the space out of that right there, take the space out of that right there. Is that just as easy to read? It can be, but it also looks a little bit more difficult because you don't have the spaces, so you kind of think that this is all one line. Now the compiler, this is the way the compiler sees it, honestly. The compiler sees it like this, or the program and all that stuff, it sees it just like this. It doesn't see any of that spacing in there. How much more difficult is that to read now? Let's make it easier. Let's put a space right there, a space right here to indicate that that's an operator, and that is what is known as an operator. Put an enter right there and tab this out, line it up, put a space right there, put a space right there, just to make it easier for us to see this stuff. And when we got this right here, this is actually meant to go with this line right here, so we're going to end up, we don't need the space there, we just need the enter right there. And now it's a little easier to read. We know we got a new line for each one of them. We know that we're doing a math equation right there. We got some spacing in there and stuff, so it's easier to see. We don't have is this one right here. There we go. Again, save it. So the spacing right there is literally just for the our side of it, so we can see it and makes sense more. You don't have a spacing in there, it can be hard to read, especially when you get here. I'm gonna make this really simple to see all this. What I mean by difficulty, because I know I can do this. Okay, so we got all this right here. The computer, the program, all this understands this. Let's do this right here. Let's take all this. Actually, scrap that out. We need to go over to here at the end. So yes, we need this right here. All this. I'm gonna copy all that. Control C does that. Copies whatever you highlights. It can also delete and all that sort of stuff. Let's go back to the end of this line right here. Enter. Control V will paste it. There's another line. Okay. Let's do 15 of them. That's 2, 3, oops, did that a little wrong. It's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Now how complicated is that to read? If you're looking at this, how complicated is that to read? Can you see all the errors in it? I mean, I could put errors all the way through that and stuff, and you're going to have to really search through it. It's kind of like searching uh, a word search and finding specific words. If you're good at word search and stuff, and you can go through here and circle, well, this is one word right here. This is another word right here. This is a word over here. This is a diagonal word right here. So this right here is a word search now. If you are trying to find a mistake in this right here, it's going to be very complicated to see it and stuff, especially if we randomize this a little bit. That right there, this right here, that right there. Can you see the changes that we've made? Not really. And this is only 22 lines of code. Big programs or good sized programs tend to have thousands of lines of code. Going through it all like that and stuff and seeing all these little, yeah, that gets very complicated. So separating it out helps. For example, let's go ahead and separate this out a little bit here, like we had it before. Put a space right there, uh, enter right there, space right there. Can you make that out a little bit better now? Here, let's go ahead and do that right there. That's a little bit easier to read. Now if we continue doing that, will it still be easier to read every line? Space right there, space right there. enter the next line right there, space right there. Now that we're doing it this way, this is getting to be a lot easier to read. Now, when we run this and stuff, like I said, the program's going to ignore all this extra space we have here. But for us, it's so much easier to read. And we are just, I mean, I've made 2, 3 videos. This one lasted 45 minutes longer than what I kind of wanted. But I mean, this is just scratching the surface of basics. And we've gotten through so far to the recap and stuff. We've gotten through the home, the intro, with it, which there wasn't a whole lot of information there to get started, which was probably just telling us we need to download C++, a compiler, and have a an IDE. And now we're doing the syntax, which is printing text, doing numbers, and adding new lines. And we haven't even gotten through all the new adding lines yet. So tip, 2 of these right here, you put 2 of these together, and it creates a blank line. So let's get rid of all this right here. So we don't need all that. And we'll keep getting rid of all this right here. This we're down to 1 line. So this right here basically is stating that if we put 2 of these in there, it puts a blank space. So let's see what that looks like here real quick. What does it mean by blank space or blank line? Control save, run it. Ah, that's what it meant. So we created another line, an empty line right there. So can we do it everywhere? Sure, why not? Control save, run it. Look at that. We got a new line right there too. Empty space. So it's getting a little easier to read down here. So let's go ahead and do it right here too as well. This is just stuff that I have learned. My journey through this. Now, I didn't learn it at this point right here. I'm only showing you this because you doing this whole try it yourself thing right here where it's separated. Well, there's the code already. So what do I need to do? And there's the output already. So what do I need to do? Hit the run button. Okay, well, that was just in there. I don't understand this. And I didn't either. I think the idea is you can manipulate this. You can go through here, clear all this out right here, and rewrite it yourself. So maybe that's what it was intended to do, is clear it out, write it yourself, rewrite it yourself, and get the same output this has right here. But now you're having to go back and forth between this right here and this right here to see what the code was. I don't want to do that. I just much rather go and have the editor over here and stuff, have it side by side on one screen, and be able to play with it and see it at the same time. It's the benefits of having the thing. So let's see here. What else is next? Another way you can insert a new line is with the end line manipulator. Okay, so what's this example show? Okay, and so instead of having that right there, which we're going to go and get rid of this. Go and get rid of that. Go and get rid of that right there. Resave it. Inline. So we got an inline right here. Okay, so it's saying instead of having this right here, so at the end of this, let's get rid of that like it shows. Let's go to that, this, ENDL. Okay. There's a problem here because I've gotten an error right here. Identifier END is undefined. What does that mean? Why isn't this working? I mean, it says it works. So here's where this is a good place to see the code, because this right here, using this right here, putting it into your own editor and stuff is not working. This right here is going to cause a problem. Here's the problem it causes. That right there, that's not what we're looking for. Now, if you're new to this and stuff, you may be like, okay, well, this looks right, but what's going on here? So we don't understand half of what's in this right here, but it's not looking the same way as what it did before. So yes, take that as a sign of something is not right. Okay, it didn't come out the way you wanted to. So every time you get this underline right here in VS Code, I don't know about the other editors, but in VS Code, it means there is something wrong. Both /n, so we're going to keep reading through here, and inline are used to break lines. However, /n is most used, so it's more popular. But what is this exactly? The new line character /n is an escape sequence. Let me get a drink real quick. And it forces the cursor to change its position to the beginning of the next line on the screen. This results in a new line. Examples of escape sequences. So here's some other things and stuff you can learn and try out and play with. So the first one right here is creates a horizontal tab. Okay, and any one of these right here, you're going to have either in quotes or at the end of a set of quotes. So it's got to be inside quotes somewhere. So any one of these right here is going to be the same way as the inline right there. But we still haven't gotten this to work. Why not? So let's see what they have here. Okay, so they don't have anything else in there. Their code does work. Our code does not. Why? Here it is. Okay, remember why I said about this right here part? Using namespace. And yes, I had to actually look at that because I couldn't actually figure out why it wasn't working at first either until I remember that they have that up there. Using this right here. This right here is basically saying that we don't need this. We're going to use this all the time in our code, so we don't need this right here. We don't need this part right here because of this right here. So they don't actually have this right here part at the front of any of this. So if we want this to work right here, then we got to add this right here part to the front of this. So let's take this back out and add that to the front of this. std : Look at that, it went away. That's what the difference was. They're using that up here, which is allowing it to be in all parts of this right here without having to type it in the front of it. That's the difference. Yeah, let's go ahead and close this back out. This one right here. Okay, so they're using this right here, at the front of it. And yes, you can do this right here too. We haven't gotten to comments yet, but yes. Now having this down here and stuff won't actually work to make the code function properly. At least not that I know of. I can try it. Let's see here. Run code. Ah, yeah, it does. It doesn't actually give us an error for that. Now, can we take this all out right here? We only need to take it out twice. And then we need to save it again. And run it again. Will it still work? No. No. So this has to be actually in the right spot. This being down here does not work. It actually has to be up here first. If you remember right in the syntax and stuff, it always goes from top to bottom. So if it reads this all right here, this does not make sense to it until it gets to down here and it doesn't backtrack and put this in place. So when it comes through this right here and reads this last, this has already been an error, and now it comes down to here and stuff. So this would work for anything below it, but not above it because it's not going to go backwards. It's not going to walk backwards at all. So you have to have this top up here. We don't really know what this is, except for the fact that it just replaces the idea that we don't need it in front of all these right here. Sorry. I get to making more of these videos, and I won't have to clear my throat as much because I'll be talking a lot more. So, but yes, we don't need and we can always go back here and line all this back up so this looks nice and pretty again for us. Having this at the end of this right here, so we can do the same thing right here as well. Instead of having that right there, we just have ENDL, and we can take this out right here, put a space in there, that NDL. Will it work? Yes, it will. The basics. I mean, we haven't even covered all the basics yet. This is just, I mean, the if there's 25 steps to the basics, we're still in step 1. So, but I'm going to cut the video off right there and stuff. I'll make another video of the next part and stuff because I wanted to finish up this part, and we'll continue the video and stuff in comments right here for the next one. So, but yes, that's so when we finally got to this, we got the exercise right here and stuff, and it's kind of, you might be able to start doing these now and stuff, but I've tried doing these and it does go on with stuff that you may not have seen yet, so I don't like to do the exercises. You can do the exercises once you get through all this stuff right here to see how well you remember this stuff. But yes, the next video will pick up right here with comments. So I'm going to end the video right here. Take me a short break, and I'll be right back to start up with the next video. Thank you.